Welcome to round 5 of the RCI Porsche Cup Season 5. This week we head to one of the most iconic and challenging circuits in the world, Bathurst, also known as Mount Panorama. Nestled in the Australian countryside, this 6.2 kilometre track is a roller coaster of steep climbs, rapid descents and unforgiving barriers. From the technical twists of the cutting to the flat-out blast down the Conrod Straight, Bathurst demands total focus and precision, offering no margin for error. Last week, Martin Lawrence continued his dominance, taking victory over Christian Lindgren and Jordan Daly, while championship contender Raphael Huell finished a disappointing 4th after a less than ideal qualifying in P20, losing valuable points in the championship standings. With Bathurst's high-stakes nature, anything can happen, and the pressure is on for the drivers to deliver in this critical round. Get ready for another thrilling chapter in the Porsche Cup Season 5. I'm John Dalton, your commentator for tonight's action. Alongside me, the wonderful Dan van Zoofen, and ensuring every angle is covered, we have Jesse Lee behind the cameras, and of course not forgetting all of our live stewards for tonight's race, casting their eyes over all the action on the mountain. Welcome, everyone.
First race outside of Europe promised to be a very good race here today around Bathurst. It's a bit of a hot one, 27 track degrees here today, 24 ambient temperature here today. I was there at Spain when we had a red flag at the start. We hope to not have a red flag here today, John, but given it's the nature of the track, Mount Panorama, it's tight, as you said, there's no margin for error, and with these Porsches, some error can be made, especially since they're so well unstable at the rear end here today, and Mount Panorama is no exception for the unstableness of the rear. Qualifying is just on the way, 10 minutes to go. Currently Portuguese Miguel Neto is on pole position, but that can change and probably will change very, very soon.
Yeah, of course, good point to note, Dan. The Porsche Cup cars, of course, no tyre warmers such as the GT3 machinery has in ACC, so everything takes a little while longer for these cars to get up to temperature, get the pressures right in these Pirelli slick tyres, and Miguel Neto doing just that on his next flying lap as he transcends over the top of the mountain through McPhillamy Park, a very brave corner. Got to be careful of the exit curb, not to mess yourself up before throwing the car down the blind descent that is through Skyline. It's a right left cascading section of corners as they come through the S's and the Dipper towards the Forest Elbow. Again, another tricky corner that you've got to get right. You almost kind of brake diagonally into the apex before opening up the loud pedal for the crucial run down the Conrod Straight. Of course, benchmark time 2:03.320 for Miguel Neto, leaps and bounds ahead of Carlos Calatayud at the moment, 0.3 of a second down. Just behind Andy Boardman, also 0.3 down. Jordan Daly, Johan Leffe, another driver very competitive within a half a second window. So 5 cars already within the half a second window. We've got 35 cars on the server tonight, Dan, and you can see the track map on the right hand side looking very, very congested as Miguel Neto comes towards the final corner.
This is not a European track, and it's a long track as well. Goes a little bit wide there, Miguel Neto. See if he can improve 1/10 from Jordan Daly now, and he can't improve for the moment. Fourth, however, does go on top, 2:03.2. The German driver wants to stay in that German Porsche on pole position. I think we just had some contact there for a car. We can see it in the background going half over the grass, trying to avoid all the cars and to make way for all the cars, but fact remains, Gregor Force takes pole position, and the top 3 is very close. Jordan Daly very close, Miguel Neto just 1/10 behind, and Carlos Calatayud the Spaniard on P4. That was P9, now is P10, couldn't improve for the moment, and he did improve in fact, but does go down a position. João Manso, the Portuguese, now trying to set a better lap time up huge. I hear in my right ear for RPMS SimSport, this is the last bit of the racetrack, which is very tricky. That last corner is so important on the track. You can lose it or gain everything here. Murray's corner it is called. Can João Manso improve massively on this lap? Is P20 now, goes to P13 so far.
Yeah, P13 for Yalman. So good improvement there for the RPMS driver, and one of the many drivers on the circuit at the moment looking to improve. Gregor Forst back to the pit lane. He's going to take a fresh set of tyres, a lower fuel load back out. He will go with Carlos Calatayud also in tow. Rafael Kiel to the top of the board though, 203.132, just ahead of Forst and Daly. Nito is going to have an answer for the German driver in the number 21, looking to fire back from the disappointing result at Imola with the mixed qualifying that we had down in P20. Johan Leffe to the line up to P5 with a 203.322. Good improvement there for the French driver. Miguel Martin's a bit of a dark horse in the championship so far. Had some good results throughout the season so far. He heads towards Murray's Corner, and like you say, Dan, it's such a crucial corner to get right. It's a very short run to the line, so if you do overcook it, it's not too much time to lose, but still crucial nonetheless. 203.422 for Miguel Martins, a good improvement there, and we've now got 7 cars even within the half a second window, and lots more drivers looking to improve. Olivier Curtin to be one of them there, as Ross Kusick pulls over to the left-hand side, stay way out of the way. Good heads-up driving from the number 2. Olivier Curtin to the line, P11, just outside the top 10 behind Christian Lindgren, but just under 6 minutes to go, Dan. It's looking like every driver on circuit so far has found the kind of pace and the rhythm to truly get that time out of their cars today.
The track temperature is decreasing so far, which means the grip levels are a little bit higher than at the start of this session. And of course, as cars will progress through the session, as more cars will run on the Australian track, the grip gets higher and higher, and so the times will get faster and faster. So no wonder some drivers have found their rhythm, but if you haven't done so far, it's really important to get your rhythm or get a good lap in now, because Mount Panorama, it's a long lap, 2 minutes 3, 2 minutes 4 for some people. If you haven't got a good lap in now, the pressure is on for you. But of course, if you're in the top 5, even outside like Johan Leffe is, the pressure is also on you, because you want to improve so desperately. Now coming into Murray's Corner, the Frenchman is in his German Porsche. See if Johan Leffe can improve in the 199. He's a little bit up on his time. He had a little wiggle out of that last corner, and he didn't improve. His best lap time was a 3.22. His last lap time was a 3.72. See if the Swedish driver Christian Lindgren can improve here in the number 48 Porsche. A few drivers benefiting of his tow behind, coming through the last corner with 4 minutes remaining. He has 2 laps. I think he had just about 2 laps. Christian Lindgren does improve, but it's not enough to gain a position. But you'll see more and more drivers progress as the time goes on. The Belgian driver Oliver Kitten had a massive moment. He will probably not improve. That's a race replay right there for the Belgian driver. Yeah, just a bit wide there on the second to last corner, and Oliver Kitten probably loses quite a bit of time, but he has some laps, and so do others as well. Andy Boardman now, the British driver, see what he can do in that 69 Porsche Cup car.
Yeah, a bit of a knock to the confidence there for Olivier Curtin as well. That's going to play on his mind, that corner, throughout the next kind of 3 minutes of qualifying and probably into the race. So a bit of a mental reset needed for that driver there. And Andy Boardman, of course, we're used to seeing him more up inside the kind of, top 10 region. So being just outside the top 10, certainly seeking an improvement, is the Grease Weasel Racing entry car. Strong finishes so far from Andy Boardman in Hungaroring, P4, P7 at Paul Ricard, and not an ideal round from Barcelona and Imola. Towards the line he'll go, and it's not an improvement, just off 203.760 from a 203.650. And this man here, Martin Lawrence, pushing the Porsche Cup car across the mountain, just about keeps it out of the wall at Reed Park. Let's have a look. Slaps the BP Ultimate wall on the left, manages to compose it, dips a wheel into the grass, down the compression, and manages to keep it out of the wall. That's the crucial thing right here for Martin Lawrence in the number 404 Connection Lost Racing entry. We're used to seeing Martin Lawrence kind of plugging away at qualifying, not really getting a lap lap until the dying stages, and just over 2 minutes on the clock. He'll have this lap to finish and another one to go. He's not going to have enough time, I don't think, to skip back to the pit lane and back out again. So hopefully Lawrence has got enough fuel in that car currently, as Raphael Huell and Gregor Forst tied for the top time at the moment with a 203.132. Nito within a hair's width behind him. Jordan Daly sniffing at the back of Nito as well, and Martin Lawrence is the next car in line, 1/10 off the top time, but it's looking like a very good time so far, heading under the Liqui Moly Bridge towards Murray's Corner. As long as he can get the car checked up, turned in, avoid the curb, run the exit curb, bumps up it, to the line he goes. Martin Lawrence, a 202.860, straight to the top, nearly 3/10 higher than Raphael Huell and Gregor Forst. That's going to be a big ask, Dan, for the number 21 Suspicious Cats car.
We've had 4 qualifying rounds so far, and 3 of the 4 Martin Lawrence snatched pole, and it may be no different here today, but we still have the German of Raphael Huell, who will put this lap together and maybe will put another lap together, but this lap is crucial for the German driver here in his Porsche Cup car, because Nito just improved, but it's not enough for pole position. Is it even enough for the top 3? Raphael Huell is a contender for the top 3. We have Forst, Daly, also Leffe is in the fight for the top 3. But will Raphael Huell in his Porsche now coming to the last corners of the Bathurst track? He can't lose it here. Will he lose it in the chase? It looks good so far, but again, that last corner is crucial here at the Mount Panorama circuit. Raphael coming through the last corner with 20 seconds remaining. If it's not this lap, he does have another lap. But will the German have pole position? He doesn't have pole position, but it's not over yet for Raphael Huell. 1/10 between Martin Lawrence and the German driver Miguel Nito has given up the race for pole position. The Belgian driver of Thibaut Roskam now in P13. Can he improve on his original lap time? If you finish here, it's completely over your qualifying session. Maybe a small improvement here for Thibaut Roskam in his blue and black Porsche. Was P13, goes to P9 inside the top 10. But the main story in this qualifying isn't over. Johan Leffe, the French driver, see what he can do. He is a little bit of a toe of the car ahead. John, this is going to be a very exciting end to this qualifying session.
Yeah, Nito grazing the wall as he comes across the top of the mountain through Suleiman Park, really pushing the limits of the number 199. As you said, Dan, a little bit of traffic ahead. I don't think that's going to affect him, and a big off into Skyline, into the wall, both sides. That will end Johan Leffe's qualifying very quickly back to the pit lane as well. Sebastian Brunier managing to take avoiding action, hopefully not being too off-put. Came down Skyline, just clipped the inside curb a little bit too much on the left into the grass, bouncing over to the right and then back into the left again. Sebastian Brunier just coming through front of short. Jordan Daly is also off. That's through the dipper as they come through the S's down towards the Forest Elbow. That's Daly's lap done and dusted. Martin Lawrence has taken the checkered flag. Raphael Huell back to the pit lane as well. Somebody zooming off down the escape road into the Australian countryside. Possibly Les Stevenson there, always putting on a great show in the number 46. I think the only car left on a valid lap, the 668, Sebastian Brunier for the nearly on pace crew, the number 668, 204.510 best lap. Last time 204.640. Towards the line he will go. Sebastian improves into P21, and that is qualifying done and dusted here at Mount Panorama. And interestingly, once again, not a single driver with all 3 sectors to their name. It will be Martin Lawrence and Raphael Huell to lock out the front row of the grid, followed by Miguel Nito and Gregor Forst. Jordan Daly, Johan Leffe, Christian Lindgren, Ted Ayers, Miguel Martins and Thibaut Roskam round out your top 10. Badowski followed by the first of the Nordquist, Victor Nordquist. Carlos Calatayud, Andy Boardman a little bit out of the contention there. Nicole Fox in P15, Emo Plata in P16. Olivier Curtin couldn't stitch another lap together after the earlier off in qualifying. Mike Redford Ted Edwards and Yao Manzo round out your top 20. And you can see there lots more drivers to come. Sebastian Brunier, Les Stevenson down the back of the grid. Peter Varga, one to watch there. Tom Shipston, interestingly, slightly out of position there as well. Kevin Boss down in P29. That's another one to watch. And then we've got the Battle of the Lundquists, as always, keeping us entertained. Peter leading Alphonse into the qualifying today. Yet to set a valid lap according to the timing. But it is, of course, that time when we do bring you championship standings. We keep you updated with who is sitting where and how. Martin Lawrence is your driver at the top currently with 278 points to his name. Raphael Huel after a less than ideal Imola on 221, and then a big jump back to Christian Lindgren with 165 points. Marco Badowski and Miguel Nito tied for points. Nito hopefully taking a good haul away from Badowski in this round. Jordan Daly in P6 on 131. Miguel Martins on 113, 1 point behind Emo Plata on 112. Ted Urs on 108 and Andy Boardman on 102 rounds out your top 10. Dan, take it away for the next page.
German Gregor Forst in P11, just outside of the top 10 with 97 points. Juraj Cevencek in his Porsche with 80 points in P12. The Portuguese João Manso behind him with 77 points behind his name in P13, followed by Tom Shipston in P14. Two French drivers, Sebastian Brunet and Johan Leffe, has 68 points behind his name. Mike Redford in P17, Thibaut Roskam in P18, Les Stevenson, the birthday man, with 57 points here after round 4. Peter Varga completes the top 20 with 45 points to his name.
Say happy birthday indeed to Les Stevenson today down in P19, and we roll on to the third page. There's plenty of drivers here to read through. Reese Wilkinson on 44, Kevin Boss 2 points behind on 42. Then we got the Swede lock-in, should we say, with Matthias Byron, Andreas Carlson and Nicholas Nordqvist, all separated by 2 points nearly, with Carlson and Nordqvist tied on 39. Ted Edwards on 37, Carlos Calatayud on 30, Grim Lilith, aka the Lift King, on 28, Olivia Curtin on 25, and Oliver Mulder on 18 points rounds out your top 30.
And Peter Lundqvist in P31, the Swedish driver, has 15 points to his name, tied with Hubert Hauser. And behind that is Ross Cusick with 14 points. James Purchase with 9 points, slots in P34. Alphonse Lundqvist in P8. Bernardo Teixeira, the Portuguese, in P5. Piotr Dominikis in P37 with 4 points to his name. Both Philip Riha and Ibiza Racer are tied with 3 points, as well as Steve Huge with 3 points to his name as the Walesman.
40 drivers to go and still a few more pages to come at you yet. Thomas Novak on 2 points, Marco Lopez on a singular point with Callum Kerrigan, Martin Foster, Nicole Fox and Victor Norquist yet to score, and everybody else with a dash against their name has signed out and will take no further part in the championship. 52 drivers have attempted to take a stab at this championship. I think 47 as of last night were still live on the website, and 35 have made it to today's server. Dan, 35 cars, Mount Panorama. It's going to be very, very compacted as they head through Hell Corner. Adeptly named sometimes as to the action that kicks off, but then we've got to survive the mountain straight before obviously the climb up through the cutting where the pinch point normally happens. So 35 cars to get over the mountain in a singular lap should be very interesting, and fingers crossed we don't have a repeat of Barcelona, as you alluded to earlier in the broadcast.
Yeah, as you say, John, very well, Bathurst is a very compact track with so many Porsches rumbling down the Conrad Straight and Mountain Straight, for example. It's going to be very tight. I'll expect some incidents. It's really unavoidable here at Mount Panorama. It's a challenge in itself to come over the mountain and complete laps in consistency on this track. and to battle on this track as well with cup cars who are in very close proximity of each other. It's going to be an absolute spectacle to see here today. And of course, as you mentioned, John, we don't hope to have a repeat of Barcelona, but everything can go wrong in the RCI Porsche Cup Car Series here on ACC. We've seen it in Barcelona. Maybe we will see it here in Australia as well. But for now, Martin Lawrence, the so dominant man in this championship, is leading back. It was quite an interesting qualifying here, John. I was going to say this is not a European track. This is a long track. 6.2 kilometers, that is 3.8 miles for the Australians and Americans. And I was expecting the gaps to be a little bit bigger or far more bigger than they are right now, given the nature of the track. It's a long track, so it has more corners, so you will probably lose more time to the leader if you are faster than the leader. That's just how racing works. But to my surprise, it is a very close field, which is going to help the racing here today as well.
Yeah, I was quite expecting, as you said there, Dan, the gaps to be a little bit larger. The uncertainty of Mount Panorama certainly does bring the gaps outwards a bit, as some drivers are a bit braver than others, should we say, across the top of the mountain. And that's where, you can really prevail here if you're just braver than the next guy, throwing it towards one of these solid walls. There's, little to no runoff, as we're quite well rehearsed at Mount Panorama. So, if the big one does happen, it's going to be over the mountain today. And fingers crossed we don't get to that stage. RCI calendar this week. Give you a quick breakdown before we get underway tonight. We have continuation, of course, of the iRacing MX-5 Cup this Wednesday. We're heading to Laguna Seca, another track that certainly promises plenty of close quarters racing and exciting battles. And of course, the MX-5 known for its agility and competitive racing, making it a perfect series, whether you're starting off or you're a seasoned veteran. And of course, the final round coming to you this week on Wednesday. So you can still get your name down for that one. I believe Laguna Seca is included in the base subscription of iRacing along with the MX-5 Cup, so should be good to rock and roll if you are a regular iRacing subscriber. Saturday, Night Owl Winter Break Season 3 continues, a short 3-round championship taking us to Snetterton this week for round 2 before finishing off in Indianapolis for the final round. Tyler Jason Lavalley winning from Marco Badowski and Emo Plata last week. If you are looking for a bit of a late night championship on a Saturday when the family are in bed and settled and you want to scurry away to your sim rig, that's certainly going to be the one for you. Also on the website, and Discord members would have noticed this week a new iRacing event. That's next Wednesday, so the 4th of December. It's a NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen at Charlotte 150. So you can get yourselves ready for a high-octane one-off showdown at the iconic Charlotte Motor Speedway, featuring the cutting-edge next-gen NASCAR Cup Series cars on iRacing. A special event that promises intense racing action, challenging drivers to master the fixed setup and the famed oval for a whopping 100 laps. Drivers must own their choice of next-gen car, other than the cars that need to be installed and not purchased, but the track is included with the iRacing base subscription. And that takes us beautifully to tonight's action as cars trundle down towards Murray's. We've got Martin Lawrence on the inside for turn 1. Raphael Huell's going to have to go the long way around if he wants to beat Lawrence off the corner. 35 cars here tonight at Mount Panorama for Porsche Cup Season 5, and we are ready to get underway. The green flag waves and Lawrence already off to a good start. Gregor Forst caught napping a little bit by Johan Leffe. That's allowed Miguel Nito up the inside, and Jordan Daly also having a sniff at Forst, and Leffe off the corner, better than Forst as well, tucks into Jordan Daly's slipstream, and we now begin the run up mountain straight. We've got Ted Urs and one of the Sim Brothers cars, I think Christian Lindgren, the number 48, also benefiting a tow off Forst's car, and Jordan Daly looks like he hasn't got the legs as he comes up towards the second corner. He's going to be on the less favoured side of the circuit, and the train comes up the inside. Johan Leffe, Forst, Christian Lindgren's having a look now into the cutting, the long way around he'll have to go, thinks sensibly of it, backs out the move, gives Daly the corner, and we reach single file by the time we get out of the cutting. And it looks like Martin Lawrence has made a good escape up the road with Rafael Huel in tow. Miguel Nito also follows, but Forster's been the cork in the bottle. He's allowed some breathing room to the top three to kind of escape. So these guys now have to work together in order to break that tow before we get to the Conrod as they come towards Skyline. Everybody in single file across the top of the mountain as we'd expect. Higher temperatures not going to be in that ideal window just yet either. So everybody is going to be tiptoeing around, really finding the grip as the Pirellis and the pressures come up into that optimum window. A bit of a clean start here today. Nobody really breaking away from the back of the field. One car maybe at the back has lost out, the number 95 of Mike Redford. Something potentially has happened to him, but other than that, Dan, everybody, I want to say, relatively clean across the top of the mountain as well. And gaps have opened up quite nicely down the Conrod. So we're not going to see any kind of late lunges into the chase at the moment.
Perhaps not. Maybe one for Christian Lindgren. The Swedish driver, doesn't decide to do so. No incident yet. That can all change here at Mount Panorama. Of course, we still have 58 minutes to go. That means 58 minutes waiting for an incident to happen here at Mount Panorama as they all come into and out to Murray's corners onto the pit straight to end their first lap. Oh, there's a car wide. There's a car off the outbraked himself and off into the barrier. Possibly some front end damage. We'll get a race replay on that probably soon. I have no clue who that was. In any case, yeah, that is Nicole Fox, the German driver, now all the way in the back of the field. We have a race replay. Nicole Fox just outbraking the car, possibly in the 314. Almost seems like the car didn't have any brakes at all. Touched the wall slightly, and that's a short routine to the back of the field after lap 1 for Nicole Fox. See if that car can make up some ground here in the early stages of this race. Yes, an incident was waiting to happen, and so it did happen. The German Rafael Huel right at the back of Martin Lorenz, the Czechian driver who has been so dominant in this championship, now facing some competition in the name of the German driver Rafael Huel. Behind that, it's the Portuguese of Miguel Neto and Forst as they all try to make it safely into the dipper and out of the dipper. See if they can hold it together. So far, again, everyone is seeming to hold it together, but Rafael Huel in the Porsche has a nice slipstream on that Porsche of Martin Lorenz. Will it be enough to maybe put an overtake into the chase? The gap is quite large though. I don't see it happening anytime soon with 56 minutes remaining, and so we all go single file into the chase. See if anybody wants to make a move, dares to make a move. It's still very much of a risk into the chase there. This is a race replay for Sebastien Brunier, the Frenchman coming out of the forest elbow. Ooh. He is going to gain a position from the red car. It just made a little bit of contact with the wall. I think it was Reese Wilkinson indeed. Was a little bit hidden by the trees there. But Sebastien Brunet getting a position now in P19.
Yeah, good game there for the Frenchman in the number 668. Just waited for the mistake to happen and capitalised on the wall slap from Reese Wilkinson as everybody's beginning to jostle now for position. Gaps are beginning to kind of close down. Everybody's finding their feet, finding the temperature in those Pirelli tyres and finding the confidence, which is a crucial thing that I spoke about earlier on here. Be confident and be brave, and the mountain should, in theory, treat you very well. But it is Matthias Byron that finds himself on the back of a bit of a slipstream train here. Kevin Boss ahead. We've got Peter Varga and Tom Shipston at the helm of this one. And classic kind of pack racing that we see a lot of the time with these one-make series. Matthias Byron on the least favoured side of Griffin's Bend finds out why you don't want to be out there with a big wiggle. That's going to allow Ross Kusick in the number 2 to kind of close up the gap. Peter Varga, a mistake into the cutting by the looks of it. That's allowed Kevin Boss through. Byron instantly latching onto the back of Varga's misfound confidence. There's a brief yellow flag out for the number 197. Jordan Daly instantly back to the pit lane. It was a very, very fast reaction, I think, wanting to get off the circuit. Let's have a look over the top of the hill. Misses the BP Ultimate wall, which is normally where they're caught out. And into the outside wall. Very, very hard indeed. Managing to slow up. Getting way out of the way there of Tedders. That could have been a very scary moment with the train that was chasing behind, pulling very sensibly off to the left-hand side. Kudos loss to Jordan Daly for the heads-up driving there. That could have ended so many races in the blink of an eye. Reece Wilkinson now finds himself under pressure from the birthday man. Actually, I think he's just overtaken the birthday boy, the number 46, Les Stevenson, who we know here at RCI as the Roker Poker, or as his car says this week, the Roker Porker. He's going to look for a move into the chase as Jesse Lee begins to sing happy birthday. Ooh. He's in there and over the inside curb. Reece Wilkinson off to driver's right, Les Stevenson off to driver's left. I think Gregor Force there has come under fire from somebody else. A completely unrelated incident. Now Kevin Boss becomes under attack from Tom Shipston, or is that Peter Dominicus, the livery thief from last week? Two cars very similarly in the train there as they cross the line. It is Dominicus leading Kevin Boss there. Tom Shipston, the divider. Let's catch a race replay here. This is Thomas Novak on Nicole Fox through the kink, and Novak hits that inside bump wrong. A big wiggle. That's all the braking markers gone from the chase. Martin Lawrence saying that he was very disapproving of anybody that claims the braking boards into the chase. So Lawrence, if you're watching this back, you know who to blame for that one. And it's hotting up in the back here as well. Hubert Hauser, I think, coming under fire from Ibiza Racer. Peter Varga off. That's the big one. Blockade onto the mountain. Yellow flag waves. Looks like Varga's caught in with Byron. Redford makes it through as well. One of the Lundqvist, Ross Kusick, involved slightly there as well. And that looks like big damage for the Team Monkey racing car, Dan.
Yeah, indeed, big damage. Peter Varga maybe should head to pit lane instead of carrying on. We'll see a race replay of that incident. Is it Peter Varga losing it on the curb there? Yeah, indeed, just hit him by the trees there, losing it on the curb. Has a massive amount of oversteer, and that just escalates a domino effect and some sort of stoppage here at the Mount Panorama circuit just after Quarry Bend here. Hubert Hauser, this is the POV of Hubert Hauser. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Hubert has no idea what's going on, couldn't react to the car in front, and that's the exact domino effect I was talking about. The Portuguese Miguel Martins trying to line up a move into the chase there, but thinks the better of it, as he also has a car just behind him, the car of Marco Badowski. The German driver might have a look now at the Portuguese coming into Murray's corner, but it would be difficult to overtake someone into Murray's corner, and so does Marco Badowski. Thinks the same as well, doesn't go for it, but maybe into Quarry Bend or even after the mountain straight. Who knows? A lot of overtaking possibilities here at Mount Panorama, but you have to calculate the risk here at the Australian circuit, purely because every overtaking opportunity can cause a massive crash. It's not a track with a lot of room. It opens up a little bit at the end of the circuit itself, but here at Quarry Bend is going to get tight, and it's going to get even tighter when you enter the cutting to Reed Park, Subman Park, and we know the story from there. We know how badly you can get yourself in a crash, like Jordan Daly demonstrated here today earlier in this race. His race is done and over. Miguel Martins still fighting for that P7. We can see Earth now just opening the gap a little bit. Someone I do want to talk about here today as well is Dutchman Kevin Boss. Started P29, currently in P21. The Dutchman finding himself a very good race. See if that can last with 15 minutes to go. Miguel Martins there outbraking himself, needing to cut the corner there. That is Skyline and into the S's there, and losing some positions. Might even have a time penalty, a track limit on his name. Who knows? But that was a very wide moment for the Portuguese driver now, and he slots back into P9, John.
Yeah, very scary moment there for the Portuguese driver. Held on well and managed to rejoin safely, much to the displeasure, though, of the chasing train behind, but still nonetheless managing to hold on to the number 62 and slotting it back into the train just behind Andy Boardman, I think, just ahead of Victor Nordqvist as they all head down into the chase. The gap's opening up ever so slightly here, and the gap at the front of the field certainly opening up. Martin Lawrence nearly 2 seconds to the good last time by on Raphael Huel, and over the start finish line 2.1 seconds, and Miguel Nito 2.3 seconds off the back of Raphael Huel. So the top three streaking away at the moment. Johan Leffe just half a second behind Nito though, with Christian Lindgren 1.3 seconds behind him. And then we've got this massive train headed up by Ted Urs in the number 84 at the helm of it. He's beginning struggling to break away from Marco Badowski, the front of the short. Andy Bourbon in the silver and red car, chased by Miguel Martins, Victor Nordquist, Ross Cam, Carlos Calata Yud, and then looking back over the rear wing of Miguel Martins, we're going to see a colourful sea of Porsches all breathing down his neck, and that's going to be a scary feat coming over the mountain, especially with the mistake last time out. That's going to be playing on the number 62 driver's mind somewhat, so going to have to be very heads up and focused as they come across the mountain. Interesting lines taking through the cutting. Some drivers going a little bit wider, opening up the corner. Others electing to take the tighter, kind of shorter line around the corner. But nevertheless, everybody getting off the corner. Of course, single file over the mountain as they come through the successive left-handers of Reed Park, Sullivan Park, before coming through McPhillamy Park. The big compression here. Miguel Martin's a bit cautious on the inside curve. Now back down through Skyline. They go much tighter line there from Victor Nordquist. Look at the speed carried through Skyline, down through the S's as they cascade through the Dipper, opening up towards the Forest Elbow. But certainly Victor Nordquist looking very confident as he comes across the mountain and riding on board with Yao Manzo at the kind of back of this train. He's got front row seats should anything happen ahead of him. The Portuguese driver in the 222 RPMS Simsport car looks set to capitalize very well if any of these guys come to blows just ahead. But Martin Lawrence looking relatively untouched so far, but we do of course have the mandatory pit stop. Pit lane due to open in about 7 minutes or so, Dan. Of course, weather not playing a factor here as it did last week at Imola, so all the drivers should be relatively well rehearsed, maybe splitting the race down the middle, or some drivers we've seen running all the way to the end of the pit window. Last week, Martin Lawrence calling Johan Leffe's bluff, and that unwound Johan Leffe's race somewhat as he was struck with a penalty for overrunning the stint timer.
Yeah, difficult pit stop dilemmas as well as here in Bathurst. You know, it's your tires are going to be shredded at the end of the race, given the nature of the track. It's a high speed track, it's an abrasive track, Mount Panorama is, and so that opens up a dilemma. Do I want to change tires or not? But given the amount of time you lose by changing tires in Assetto Corsa Competizione, if it's not mandatory, it's probably roughly at 25 seconds, maybe even 30 seconds. So it's a big dilemma. But how much risk are you going to take here at the Mount Panorama circuit as Gregor Force is in pit lane, the German driver DNFing probably out of this race with 46 minutes to go. We've only raced 50 minutes so far, and a lot has happened. We can see the French driver of Johan Leffe being a bit more confident there in the S's into the dip. See if he can line up a move on Miquel Neto. You can see at the rear of Miquel Neto, the Frenchman is very close to his rear. See if he has a good exit. Miquel Neto does have a good exit, but is it enough to keep that Porsche behind? We have the slipstream of that huge Porsche. We have, of course, the Conrad straight into the chase, but I don't think it will be enough for the Portuguese this time around. Maybe a set, maybe a dive bomb for the Portuguese could be attractive, but so far not. Things the better of it, and with 45 minutes, that is no surprise. Track temperature is still coming down a little bit, 25 degrees compared to the 26 and 27 degrees track temperature we saw in qualifying. And wind isn't really an issue, and that's probably good for the nature of this track. You don't really want to lose the back end suddenly with a gust of wind here on the ACC. Very easy to do with heavy wind, but so far only 1 kilometer. Johan Leffe still at the rear of that Porsche, and you can stay a lot at the rear here in these Porsche because they're cup cars. They don't have the aerodynamic span of, as let's say, a Formula 1 car. And just like we saw in the last 5 minutes, that beautiful train of P10 or P9 all the way to P15, absolutely beautiful sight to behold. And you can do that here in these Porsche cars. Johan Leffe opting to take the wide line out of the cutting, and so this fight, this battle for the final spot on the podium continues for who knows how long.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? This battle could go all the way to the end. We could see It's settled on pit road as well, as we've seen so many times in the past at RCI. One driver gets past another, then puts up a fantastic defense as they go through the final reminder of the race. Johan Leffe into the inside wall at Skyline, almost to what we saw in the qualifying session. Let's catch a quick race replay here. Leffe a bit unsighted into where the wall truly was. A bit of a bounce on the entry, and into the wall they go. Back out again, straight lining the Skyline section, but still no harm, no foul. A bit of a time loss, some damage picked up, and that's going to bring in Christian Lindgren possibly into the fight. If he can get focused in, this could be a three-way fight essentially for the bottom step of the podium. Meanwhile, Carlos Calatayud still looking towards the back of his teammate Theobald Roskam in the number 96. Both Rebound Racing entry cars here, a white and a blue entry. Makes us very happy up here in the comms box. Easy to tell two drivers apart, and Carlos Calatayud looks like he's got fantastic speed coming down the Conrod, although not able to pull alongside into the chase. There's some dust being kicked up ahead. I think everybody's safe and good as they come down towards the final corner of Murray's. Carlos still having a look on his teammate. No friendly fire today, and the rebound camp. It gets very, very close through Murray's. It's going to be a straight drag race down into Hell Corner. Carlos Calatayud on the favoured side, and I think Roskam a bit of a lift there. I think that wasn't team orders, but very sensibly didn't want to end up in a friendly fire scenario, and equally didn't want to bring the charging pack into this fight as well. Of course, behind you've got Emo Plata, Olivier Curtin, Yao Manzo, and Ted Edwards, to name a few, as we catch a race replay here from Tom Shipston and Peter Dominicus, the livery thief, into the elbow, sorry, and nearly some friendly fire of the Wheelie Slow Racing Camp on the exit. I'm wondering how much Kevin Boss paid Tom Shipston for a little punt on the livery thief. I'm putting it out there. It's a conspiracy theory this week from round 5, and hopefully, I wonder if the name has changed on the Wheelie Slow Racing car. Apparently it hasn't. Kevin Boss's name still adorned on both cars, so I'm wondering, we need to check the PayPal maybe of Tom Shipston after tonight's race.
That is some great conspiracy theories indeed. Maybe they'll get answered in our post-race interviews. Who knows? But so far, again, the Frenchman still behind Johan Leffe. That's Thomas Novak, the Czech driver, into the wall there. Currently P29 and tumbling all the way to the back order of the grid. Thomas Novak is already going slow out of Forest Elbow, so it has to have happened earlier in the lap. Has suspension damage, can't steer at all, and that's a trip into Barry R here at Bathurst, and probably into pit lane as well for Thomas Novak, although he is trying to get his way back into pit lane. But given he's going to steer right and pit lane is coming left at some point, he's probably not going to make it by any chance. Thomas Novak, he is trying to make it by any chance here. He actually is. All right, see how this turns out. This is extremely long yellow flag, and at the chase. No, he's still going on, but the Porsche doesn't really want to turn left, as the wheels are also pointed right. There is a race going on here, but Thomas Novak still trying to decide, or trying to carry on. If he manages to get it back to pit lane, I'll be very astounded, but it seems like Thomas Novak is still in the gravel, and this is going to be a very long trip down to pit lane for Thomas Novak. It's interesting. He seems to manage it, but spins around again. And Jesse, there is still a race going. Onto the track goes Thomas Novak now. Needs to, at some point, the leaders are going to catch Thomas Novak. So at some point, he has to give up. But there's a right corner for him coming up. He's almost made it back to pit lane. He still has some time. Yes, get your point. He still needs to turn left to the pit lane, which is going to be very challenging with this Porsche indeed. It doesn't seem like he can get to the left lane of pit lane. And there are all the braking points for Turn 1 destroyed. Even more, possibly, drivers will not be happy with that. Possibly a penalty for that incoming as well. And so Novak returns to pit lane as Martin Loring approaches the last corner, as we go back to racing here at Bathurst Mount Panorama Circuit. Will Johan Leffe do it on the inside? Maybe a late move. He won't so far. Thinks the better of it, and so far he stays behind the Portuguese of Miguel Neto. 39 minutes remaining. The pit window has opened, John Dalton. This will, it's a bit interesting. Will get very interesting here today.
Yeah, Manzo, the first of the drivers to blink, leads himself down pit lane, brings with him Ted Edwards in the Race Ventura number 8. I was just wondering, Thomas Novak, whether he was doing the old PlayStation tactic of driving the car down the wall to make it easier to get back to pit lane, but then it kind of turned into a Lance Stroll cosplay as he was in the gravel at the end of the Conrad. So that was a very interesting thing. Maybe even waiting for the pit window to open. Again, he was only minutes away when he got to the chase, so that could have been another thing. Olivia Curtin up the inside, though, of Emo Plata. That's going to be a position gain for the Belgian driver in the 111. And meanwhile, back to the front, of course, Johan Leffe still chomping at the bit of Miguel Neto. That's kind of costing time now to Rafael Kuhl ahead, as Neto probably driving in his mirrors a little bit. I'm trying to see where, of course, Johan Leffe is going to be positioning that car if he's going for a move at any given point. But both drivers looking equally as competitive. Martin Lawrence, 3.5 seconds to the good up the road. Rafael Kuhl, 3.1 seconds to the good, just ahead of Miguel Neto. And Christian Lindgren just not able to do enough to latch on to the back of these guys. And interesting, we spoke earlier about, of course, the slipstream effect here at Mount Panorama and the limited setup changes that the 992 does have. One of the things you can adjust is, of course, the aero. So some drivers may be electing for a bit of a skinnier kind of aero setup, makes them an absolute rocket ship in a straight line. But of course, the car becomes very loose over the mountain. Then lots of drivers may be electing to do the opposite in the flip side, which is why we're seeing a lot of drivers not gaining as much as we'd expect in a slipstream. One driver, of course, with skinnier wing out front, very slick in a straight line. The other guy behind, even with the slipstream, doesn't really have an answer for the car ahead of them. So it's a bit of a tit for tat. It's a bit of setup guesswork as well, as we watch it up from up here in the booth. And of course, alongside us in the booth, the live stewards, and we do have a few updates from them. McKenna McConnell passing us the papers tonight. We've got an incident on lap 1, turn 1, involving the 32 and the 6. It was a warning for the 32 for avoidable contact. Incident on lap 1, turn 2, involving the number 9, the 30. That was a racing incident, minor contact. Incident lap 1, turn 2, involving the 111 and the 314, racing incident, minor contact. Incident lap 1, turn 13, involving the 808 and the number 2. You guessed it, racing incident, minor contact. And finally, it was an incident on lap 3, turn 18, involving the 71 and the 314. That was a racing incident, minor contact. We then had the second slip of paper being passed to us as well. So an incident on lap 3, turn 21, weirdly enough. I don't think it's 21 turns at Bathurst, but I could be wrong. Quite a few corners in succession between the 337 and the 43. It was a 5 seconds for the 43 for avoidable contact. That's Miguel Neto. Johan Leffe, of course, very close behind. That was between Neto and Gregor Forst. It looks like Neto just pulling across in the braking zone, forcing Neto onto the grass. And of course, when the car's loaded up as heavy as it is down into the chase, you know, the smallest of inputs can really upset the balance. So 5 seconds to Miguel Neto. Johan Leffe should jump in the pit stops in theory, and that should put this battle to bed for a little while yet. Incident on lap 3, turn 21, involving the 71 and the 314. The 71 goes unsighted over a bump, understeers, and has unavoidable contact with the 314, deemed a racing incident. An incident on lap 4, turn 2, involving the number 100 and the 508. This is the big one. 20 seconds for the 508 for avoidable contact, heavy damage. And that was what unfolded between, of course, Peter Varga and Matthias Byron. Varga getting loose on the curb and bringing into the door of Byron. And that was the concertina effect that did block the road into turn 2. And then we have an incident on lap 4, turn 3, involving the 79 and the 2, racing incident. Incident on lap 8, turn 19, involving the 32 and the 60. It's a warning for the car 60. And finally, so far, incident on lap 10, sectors 1-2, involving the 62 and the 9. No further action. The 62 makes contact with the 9, but loses out more. So Stewart's not deeming any penalty there. That's between Miguel Martins and one of the Sim Brothers cars into turn 1. Bit of contact there, but the Sim Brothers car hurt slightly more than the number 62. So no harm, no foul. Play on, say the stewards. And big moment there as we come over the top of the mountain. Christian Lindgren maybe getting very loose as they came through Skyline, but still managing to hold on to the Porsche just about. And you can see, Dan, Johan Leffe has backed off of Miguel Nieto, I would say, maybe conserving some of the Pirelli tyres for later on in the race, knowing that, of course, the number 43 of Miguel Nieto has a 5-second penalty as we see one of the Lundqvists into Ibiza Racer. That's just a bit of clumsy driving. That was apparently Alphonse Lundqvist. Let's not tarnish both Lundqvists with the same brush, but Alphonse coming into the door there of Ibiza Racer. Victor Nordquist also been in the wars as well. Theobald Roskam in a bit of a rebound racing sandwich here. A little tap maybe nearly from the Belgian driver. And Nordquist jumping on the loud pedal and exiting the final corner. The game picking up that contact, but it must have been so minor on that one. Although a yellow flag out, number 75 at the top of the mountain, Dan. Let's have a look, see what's happening here if we could. Looks like it's towards kind of the elbow. That's Alphonse Lundqvist this time.
Alphonse Lundqvist, the Swedish driver, not having the best of run here at Mount Panorama. Alphonse Lundqvist already was going slow there, hitting the inside barrier, spinning, possibly contact. No, another Porsche does avoid Alphonse Lundqvist, and so Alphonse Lundqvist, his battle to come back to pit lane probably continues, as again the Swedish drivers not having the greatest run here at Mount Panorama. And here we see Alphonse Lundqvist resuming his way out of Forest Elbow. Johan Leffe, I'm surprised Johan Leffe hasn't pitted yet, because he could pit right now and be clear of Miguel Neto, who is going to overtake anyway, but he's now stuck behind Johan Leffe. He's going to wear out his tires and possibly have a disadvantage at the end of this race compared to, for example, Christian Lindgren. We know Marco Petowski can be fast. Maybe he has something to say at the end of this race. But Johan Leffe electing to stay behind Miguel Neto, the Portuguese driver, and so the gap is still behind Johan Leffe. Another Dominicus Shipton incident here. Tom Shipton in that's simply a misjudgment of space there between Tom Shipton and I think the Portuguese driver Dominicus. He let Dominicus pass through again, and so that battle continues and results in contact for a second time this race. Johan Leffe still deciding to stay out with Miguel Neto. You could say, go to pit lane, Johan Leffe. You're only doing yourself harm here, but he elects, the Frenchman driver elects to stay behind the slipstream of Miguel Neto, maybe in the hope that he can catch the guys in front, but it doesn't seem so for now, as Christian Lindgren has he has got his popcorn bucket with himself, hoping to see if an incident here unfolds here, as Johan Leffe needs to do it around the outside at Corey Bend. Is he going to attempt it anyway? The guy ahead has a 5-second penalty. It's all too risky for Johan Leffe, the Frenchman, and so gets pushed wide, and shows you why it's very difficult to overtake on the outside of Corey Bend there, coming out of the cutting into Griffiths Mound, and here we go into Reed Park. But this battle continues as Christian Lindgren probably enjoys it. He's getting all the more closer to the final step on the podium. Drivers touching the wall right, left and center here at a very difficult Mount Panorama, as you can see Johan Leffe carrying a bit more speed, getting the tighter line. Miko, losing the rear there, the Frenchman does, and that benefits Christian Lindgren as Miguel Nito, the Portuguese. Now the Frenchman does need to have a better exit. He's only 5 tenths behind. Maybe with the power of the slipstream he can get an overtake done into the chase, but I think it's just too big of an ask. I'm very curious to see if Johan Leffe will return to pit lane. Will Christian Lindgren return to pit lane? We have an incident with the 999 into Forest Elbow. See what's happened there. But now the focus is on this battle for P3. Will Johan Leffe return in pit lane? No, he elects to stay out here at Mount Panorama. As a Swedish driver, Peter Lundqvist, again a Swedish driver, not having the best of times here at Mount Panorama. Into Forest Elbows, losing the car on the rear, having damage at the front, and that is very nasty. And so Peter Lundqvist will tumble down the order here at Mount Panorama once again, John.
Yeah, very unfortunate day for the Swedes today, but Lundqvist sensibly waiting for drivers to pass before getting back underway once again. Just going back to your point on Johan Leffe not pitting and sitting in the wake of Miguel Nito, I think he's scared that when he does come out, he's going to be in the rabble that is behind, of course, headed up by the number 45 of Badowski. He's got the train behind him by that point. You've got Urs, Boardman, Martins, Kalatiud, Nordqvist, Roskam, all sandwiched in this Porsche train. And you know, the last thing Johan Leffe wants is to take fights that aren't really his fights to take. If he, prolongs this, he's going to get a good tow from Miguel Nito ahead, of course, but going to be scrubbing the Pirelli tyres somewhat rotten. As you said, Dan, of course, Bathurst quite abrasive on the surface sometimes. But again, Christian Lindgren behind, creeping up now 0.6 of a second. He's going to be within slipstream kind of range to be benefiting somewhat off the back of Johan Leffe's car. So again, Leffe knows that Nito will surrender this position in the pit lane regardless, even if Nito makes this the shortest stop he can, adding in 1 litre of fuel. It's still going to cost him an extra 5 seconds regardless. So Leffe knows this fight is done and dusted. He's just kind of biding his time at the moment and just trying to avoid and keep the track position. Looking to the inside of the chase, a bit risky. Going to have to go the long way around as they stand on the brakes and not able to do so. It's not the favoured side of the road. Very hard to make a move stick there unless your driver makes a mistake on the inside. Leffe goes by one more time, just under 7 minutes on the clock. So in theory, about 3 laps at a push these drivers should get out of these cars before coming down the lane. We've had a few more pit stoppers as well in the form of Kevin Boss, Mike Redford, Tom Shipston, Dominicus has been in, Hauser Racer, both the Lundqvists and Ross Kusick as well. Of the 35 that started, 28 remain in the service. So quite a high rate of attrition here tonight at Bathurst, as we expected. Ted Ayres going down the pit lane in the number 84. He'll be another driver coming down as Leffe looks to the outside. Again, nothing can be done. Nito up the inside, the more favoured line, the cambered side of the road, sucks the car around as they come through turn 2. And look in the background, Christian Lindgren, Dan, is now under half a second behind, 0.382 across the last timing gate. And like you say, I hope he's packed his popcorn because he has a front row seat to the battle of the podium right now.
This is what you get when you don't decide to pit here at Mount Panorama and you have a very quick Christian Lindgren behind you while battling, and also very quick Miguel Neto as he goes over the grass just a bit, doesn't lose a lot of time. Can he get it stopped before getting into the dip here at Mount Panorama? Yes, he does. This camera is very great at Bathurst for Christian Lindgren. You can see just how much time Christian Lindgren Lindgren gains in the entry, but then loses time in the exit, which is of course the way of racing. Johan Leffe still in P4. Is he going to elect to pit? Because in my view, if he's going to pit, he'll end up just in front of the 22, maybe just behind the number 8, but they're going to lose time now, and this is again a very risky move into the chase for Johan Leffe on the outside. He can't do that. Christian Lindgren is on his back currently in his rearview mirror. He doesn't pit. Christian Lindgren, will he go to the inside? Not yet. Thinks the better of it into Hell's Corner now. Johan Leffe will and want to gain that P3 position oh so badly. I almost think he doesn't know Miguel Neto has a 5-second penalty, but who knows. Johan Leffe in the slipstream of that Porsche Cup car. Miguel Neto will of course do everything to defend that P3, to lose as little time as possible coming into pit lane. Johan Leffe thinks the better of it, but maybe a big set into Corey's bed, almost hits the back of Miguel Neto, but they keep each other alive. Johan Leffe keeps the car, the Portuguese car of Miguel Neto alive, and so this battle continues. We have a yellow flag for the 999 yet again, and with 3 minutes remaining here at Bathurst, the pit window is coming to a close. And as they come into that very tricky they're cutting that at Salmon Park and into McPhillamy Park, and now of course coming towards Skyline. Now Miguel Neto still in front of the French driver, and you see Christian Lindgren every lap a little bit on the grass. That's not the favorite line here at Mount Panorama, and so Christian Lindgren loses time again here at the track, and with 23 minutes remaining, time is ticking down, ladies and gentlemen, and time is ticking down for the pit window as well. I'm surprised they need to get into pit lane. They won't get another lap. Ted Edwards here, there is that Lundqvist. Oh, and that's contact for Lundqvist and Ted Edwards. That will definitely be reviewed by the live stewards here. Ted Edwards, the Britishman, finding himself in a very unlucky situation. Again, Lundqvist just not able to control the car, and so he slammed into the back of Ted Edwards, and so the race gets worse. Johan Leffe stays out. He stays out, and that can't be true. That can't be true for Johan Leffe, because he now will get a penalty, because he can't make another lap, John. He will not make another lap.
I think he will, providing there's no delays for Johan Leffe. It's about 2 minutes, 2 or 4 a lap. 2 minutes, yeah. 25-ish. He crossed the line, so in theory he should have enough time. Although we thought that last week, of course, with Martin Lawrence and Johan Leffe, when they went toe to toe on who's going to pit on who first. I think with the Ted Edwards and the Lundqvist incident, I think Lundqvist was over the grass, and I think Edwards knew the Porsche was coming, and Edwards slowed up in the corner. He looked a bit slower going through the chase than he usually would, and I think had he taken the chase at a normal speed, I reckon he would have jumped ahead of Lundqvist. Let's have a quick look here. See Lundqvist over the inside, and then Ted looks like he doesn't accelerate off the corner, like he's expecting the car to be kind of coming through the passenger or the driver's door at any given moment. And I'm definitely thinking Ted was a bit slower. If we can get an onboard from Ted, here he goes down the gears, opens up the corner. He doesn't accelerate. The speed stays at about 80k as he comes through the corner, doesn't accelerate, and then there's a Swede in the driver's door of that car, and that is not where you want to be having a Swede at that present time. A few drivers stayed out yet to pit. Martin Lawrence, Raphael Kuhl, Johan Leffe, Badowski, Curtin, and Brunier still yet to pit. Everybody else has come down the pit lane so far, and hopefully done and dusted the majority of their stops. Mike Redford finds himself in the thick of it with Kevin Boss just ahead. Comes under fire from Ross Kusick, although I think Kusick is actually the last car on the grid, so isn't taking a part in this fight, just has great spectator seats as Tom Shipston behind Mike Redford now is the car for position. Martin Lawrence in the lane, into the box very quickly indeed, brings with him Raphael Huell, 35 seconds grace period for him. In the background, Johan Leffe maximising the pit entry as much as he can. 28 seconds on the clock for him. We've still got Badowski, Curtin and Brunier to come through. This is going to be quite tight, I think, for Olivier Curtin, and even tighter, I think, for Sebastian Brunier. Curtin navigating the chicane. Bathurst camera's doing us dirty. Comes in 9 seconds to go, and Sebastian's going to have to get his skates on. I think this is going to be a millimetre kind of precision stop as he 1-0. I think he's just about made it. A fraction of a second later and Sebastian Brunier would have been getting a penalty, but we think the Frenchman has timed this one perfectly in the number 668. Olivier Curtin gets back underway, hinders Sebastian into his box somewhat, although a few garages later he will finally come to a rest. Maybe one of the last boxes on the lane indeed for Sebastian Brunier. Jumps on the brakes. He will get back underway with his service. Lawrence off pit lane, of course, still leading as you'd expect from Raphael Huell. Johan Leffe now has some breathing room, clear air ahead of him. Ibiza Racer getting involved, blue flags waving for him. Johan Leffe, of course, out. Christian Lindgren behind. A nice little healthy gap there. That should not phase the Frenchman too much for the next 19 minutes or so, although it's going to be a battle of who has looked after their tyres the most in the early stages of the race. Everybody towards the top end of the field looking all the same actually down the list of pit stoppers. Hubert Hauser, Ibiza Racer, Lundqvist, both the Lundqvists actually look like they've all taken tyres, but everybody other than 4 drivers have done the old splash and dash here today. So everybody down in these last 19 minutes should be on a warm set of Pirellis, and apparently Mike Redford has gone somewhere. Let's have a look at this one.
The Britishman diving down the inside at the chase. Just a little bit of contact between the 31 and the 95 car, and that results in a battle for P18. Shipston got by both of them, and so that's P18 for the Britishman, who drives for RPMS Sim Sport, and now he has a train of Kevin Boss, Mike Redford and Piotr Dominikas in well, it's a really slow sandwich actually for Mike Redford. Both Kevin Boss car, but not both Kevin Boss drivers, of course. That would be impossible, but Piotr Dominikas, the Dutch sandwich, you could say, almost dominating the British like we did in the old ways. And it's no different here today at Mount Panorama. Mike Redford, see if he can line up a move at Kevin Boss. Kevin Boss a bit squirrely into Elbows Forest, but seems to manage here. He is of course the slipstream of Tom Shipson, so I don't think he will line up a move anytime soon going into the chase here today. But with 17 minutes to go, people might get desperate, because again, the clock is ticking down. Kevin Boss is actually defending, which gives Mike Redford an opportunity to go around the outside, and the Britishman does it. What an incredible overtake by Mike Redford there. Kevin Boss slow on the entry, maybe even gave the position to Mike Redford, who knows, because of some incident that happened earlier in the race. But almost seemed like, well, Kevin Boss of course takes the defensive line there, and Mike Redford just sweeps on by as Piotr Dominikas in the background goes off, maybe even loses a position. Has he lost a position? No, he doesn't. Too huge there, but the Dutchman still driving in P21 so far. The 32 really slow car racing now chasing the 31 really slow car racing car, and the Belgium driver currently in front of all the Dutchmen. Thibaut Roskem in P12 chasing Oliver Curtin, fellow Belgium driver. It's the battle of the Belgians over here. Chamanso, the Portuguese, just ahead, and so this is a battle for the final points in the top 10 here. See how this falls out.
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of battles still going on in these dying stages of the race. About Roskam, as you said, sizing up Olivia Curtin as they come down the Conrod straight into the chase. Although Curtin going to be getting a slipstream ahead as well from Yao Manzo, so it's going to be a bit awkward for Roskam to find the pace to draw alongside the 111. And last of the late breakers into the chase. The gap closes up for Theobald Roskam. Can he make a move into Murray's? No, he can't. A big wiggle as he comes out of the chase. Manages to compose himself, get it back underway once again, and driver's line of stern into Murray's. No passing will happen, but Theobald Roskam going to think twice about jumping on that loud pedal so soon as they come down in towards turn one. Hell Corner, adeptly named sometimes for what happens down here, but everybody line of stern now. Again, the slipstream, the bounce off the curb for drivers as we catch a race replay, this time with Mike Redford. We saw this around the outside of the chase. This isn't normally what we see here at Mount Panorama, but managing to get a move to stick there, and not sure what else we were picking up, possibly an additional contact that wasn't shown on the replay there. But Olivia Curtin in a bit of a sandwich here. Theobald Roskam very squirrely in the background, all over the back of the 111 as they head up towards the cutting. Yao Manzo, a bit of a cork in the bottle maybe for Olivia Curtin at the moment. He's got his mirrors filled with Theobald Roskam, and I think Manzo just about stretching a gap as they come across the top of the mountain. Both drivers keeping it out of the wall. That's the crucial thing at this late stage as drivers are wrestling the cars across the top of the mountain. You can see there Olivia Curtin's car looks much quicker, although Theobald Roskam gets it turned in much closer to some of these walls, and Curtin makes a mistake across Skyline, rejoins just ahead. No harm, no foul, managing to keep it under control, although that could be a penalty, and Roskam bumps himself out of the dipper, and that's a lick into the wall for the Rebound Racing car. But you can see how on edge these cars are, Dan, in this late stage. As we alluded to earlier, of course, the reduced aero on these cup cars, they're not like a GT3 car, you know, with a big splitter, a big rear wing, diffusers, flat floors, the lot. They are very limited with the kind of gooseneck, swan neck spoiler across the back of the car, a little bit of a splitter at the bottom of the front, and that's kind of all she wrote on the cup car. So when these tires begin to wear down, Raphael Huell into the pits though, that's big front end damage. Let's have a look at the replay. Let's see what's happened to a potential championship leader coming down in towards the Forest elbow, stands on the brakes. Looks like the bonnet already up on that car. So that's happened somewhere across the top of the mountain for Raphael Huell. That's very unfortunate indeed. Huell into the pit lane. It allows Lindgren and Nito through, possibly even Badowski as well. This is going to be big championship points hemorrhaged for the German driver, Dan.
I think that is championship over for Raphael Huell, if I dare say so. He was trailing behind Martin Lorenz. Really all championship, did get a win in round 3, I think it was, and but a disappointing round 5 for Raphael Huell. He did get the victory. No, he did not get a victory at all, excuse me. He did get pole position in, I think, round 3 that was, but Raphael Huell possibly ending his championship fight by the contact now, coming out in what's possibly P15, P21, maybe even, yes, P21, behind the really slow racing cars, and even behind the really slow racing cars. P28 is in front of him, which has in fact blue flags on Raphael Huell, but the German not getting a great result here at Mount Panorama, and so the Australian track claims yet another victim to its walls, which is so easily done here. These Porsches are so incredibly tough to handle. As John said, they don't have a lot of downforce. Give that, add it up with the extremely challenging Mount Panorama track, and you might just get yourself in an incident, and you might just lose yourself the championship here today. Theobald Roskam definitely wants to move up some positions, currently in P11. That top 10 is getting all the more closer here for the Belgian driver, but they need to keep it clean. Same accounts for Oliver Keerten, and same counts for João Manso, but it's now Belgium against Portuguese, as Oliver Keerten tries to go around the outside of Morris, and this is the Belgian pushing João Manso and maybe moving up one position more. Oliver Keerten has the slipstream coming into Hell's Corner, and it's called Hell's Corner because go wrong, and so much will go wrong for the Belgian driver of Oliver Kitten as he completely misses his braking point, spins to the right direction, which is very cleanly done. And so Oliver Kitten loses position. Race replay. What's happened here? Oliver Kitten missing his braking point, missing the Portuguese by millimeters, just inches apart both cars were, and a bit of contact with the wall bounces the correct way again and spins kind of like a roundabout. And so Oliver Kitten in P30, he really did join a roundabout. Oliver Kitten did, and that would probably save him some more positions in this race. Back to the top here, Miguel Martins in P7, trying to chase Andy Portman down for 6th place. And ahead of that is Marco Badowski, who's really had a race completely by himself. The German driver has. Marco Badowski in P5. We haven't really seen him a lot. And of course, we know this as the John Dalton zone. And so Marco Badowski is driving in the Dalton zone. Maybe that will change because the Portuguese is only 2.3 seconds away.
I still love how the John Dalton zone has been praised in RCI and made a bit of a meme. It's where you're too fast for the guy behind, but too slow for the guy ahead, and you sit in this kind of awkward no man's land where you don't really see anyone for the majority of the race. I just want to touch back on Olivier Curtin. That's certainly woken Yao Manzo up, looking in the mirror, seeing a fiery Porsche coming spearing towards you and going down the escape road. Good heads-up driving from Curtin there to avoid Manzo. That could have been 2 cars taking very swiftly out of the race there, gifting, of course, Theobald Roskam 2 extra positions. Just had a look back as well through the race replay so far at Raphael Huell, coming over the top of kind of Reed Park, Suleiman Park, caught the inside curb a little bit too much. The car landed and bounced him into the outside wall. Front right kind of met the wall quite hard, so probably lots of steering damage. So came over here as normal, over the crest of the hill, down the compression. This left-hander here caught the curb into the outside wall and bounced down the wall, and that was race done and dusted. But Huell still continuing on, which is what I like to see. The number 21 still at it, still trying to get some form of championship points if they can, because at the end it could be a minor difference that makes it. Of course, the top 30 will end up taking points away. 28 cars on the server at the moment, so it means that Huell would walk away with 3 points minimum if he finished in dead last. So still some points on the table yet. And we've had a few more penalties come through from the live stewards. McKenna McConnell passing us our 3rd slip of paper for the evening. Hopefully the last, but again, never say never here at RCI. We go back to an incident on lap 17, turn 22, involving the 8 and the 999. If you remember, that was the Lundqvist-Edwards incident. Let's have another race replay here. Lundqvist off to the grass, apparently overcompensates for the blue flags on the number 8. Tries to slow down and attempts avoidable action, but small hits to the number 8, resulting in a takeout and a small time loss. So that was 5 seconds. Miguel Martins and Andy Boardman into each other at the chase. Comes through Ibiza Racer. Carlos Calatayud netting 2 more positions to his name. He says thank you very much. Miguel Martins does the honourable thing and waits for Andy Boardman to get back underway. Gifts him the position back. But again, stewards not always looking at that in the new rule set of RCI stewarding. And a bit of a late lunge from Miguel Martins into the chase. Caught the curb. Unfortunately, bounces the Porsche up into the side of Andy Boardman. Carlos Calatayud with the rallycross line to get himself through the calamities along with Ibiza Racer. So that's going to be another stewards incident. That'll be a 4th piece of paper handed to us later on before the checkered flag. I can be sure of that one. Incident on lap 19, turn 22, involving the 95, the car we're watching now, and the 31. It's a warning for the number 95. That's a Kevin Boss incident, I believe we saw down into the chase. It's almost like an action replay of what we've just seen live as Redford up the inside there. A small hip and shoulder check to Kevin Boss. That was a warning for the number 95. And then finally, an incident on lap 20, turn 21, again involving the 95 and the 31. That was Kevin Boss and Mike Redford once again. That was deemed a racing incident, minor contact. Jesse Lee thought he picked up 2 incidents earlier on, and he certainly did. It's almost a flip reverse, isn't it, of what we saw last time by Boss on the outside, Boss on the inside this time, Redford the other way around as well. So that's why it's playing a bit of havoc with us. But Mike Redford sizing up a move on Tom Shipston. Defensive goes Shipston. That's the favoured side of turn 2, where you want to be as the camber of the road sucks the car around the high side where all the marbles are. There's no grip, it's off camber, it's very horrible even in a GT3 car to try and make a move stick around there. But unfortunately, no harm, no foul. Redford, a big wiggle out of the cutting. That's going to hamper progress across the top of the mountain, and a bit of a wiggle from both cars as they come through the BP Ultimate boards. And Tom Shipston now stretching the legs of the number 60 RPMS car, so I think he's going to be safe for the meantime. Meanwhile, birthday boy coming under fire, Ted Ers putting pressure on our birthday boy Les Stevenson in the number 46 as they come down the Comrade Straight. Jesse Lee singing happy birthday to Les Stevenson in our ears, and Ted Ers going for a move around the outside. Be careful of the bump on the inside. We've seen it claim many a victim, and Les Stevenson lets him through. Very well spotted there, Dan. A bit of a lift, I think, from the number 46, not wanting to get involved in too many incidents. Maybe already had a bit of a nightmare race already, just trying to salvage what he can. So Les down into P16, Ted up into P15, and no harm, no foul. Both drivers underway as we're into the final 5 minutes. Everything's kind of calming down a bit, Dan, but again, anything can erupt at any time we see in these one-make series. We think it's all over, we think it's all kind of done and dusted, and then a couple of drivers come together and it all kicks off once again. And it could kick off between these two, Theobald Roskam and Gal Manzo, in these dying stages.
Classic Cup car racing, that would be what's almost classic for this championship. This Porsche Cup Season 5 is Martin Lorenk having an absolutely dominant lead over Leffe. Well, not certainly over Leffe, just over the whole field in general. 15-16 seconds is the gap to Martin Lorenk. Johan Leffe has. That's a very big gap. The Czech driver of Martin Lorenk in the 404 Porsche Cup car is again dominating and trying to drive the laps as clean as possible. Johan Leffe probably won't catch the leaders, but like John said, everything can still happen. Everything can still erupt here at Mount Panorama. The Swedish driver Christian Lindgren in P3. All of the other Swedish drivers haven't really had the best of races, but Christian Lindgren for Sim Brothers Racing currently in P3, possibly making up for that. Tom Shipston now having a fellow Britishman Mike Redford behind him in the 95 Porsche. See if Mike Redford can line up a move very shortly. See if he's a bit more confident than Tom Shipston through the S's and into the tip here at Mount Panorama. RPMS Sim Sport trying to be ahead of that. As we cut back to the fight for P10, Thibaut Roskam there, just trying to benefit of Johan Manso there into the gravel, coming into Hell's Corner. Johan Manso on the outside, bit of door banging between the Porsche cars, but Thibaut Roskam benefits of a weird mistake that Johan Manso, the Portuguese driver, just did. See if we have a replay of that anytime soon, but no idea what happened coming into the last corner. I said it in qualifying, the last corner can be so crucial here at Mount Panorama. I think Mike Redford is off. Yes, he is off coming into the chase. What's happened here? Let's see. We have a race replay. Mike Redford following Tom Shipston into the chase there, just well behind Tom Shipston as well. Maybe missed his braking points. Of course, braking markers aren't plenty here, but seems like he just outbraked himself and almost did a Lance Stroll, but he manages to recover in the number 95 Porsche. And so Mike Redford continues his way on the Mount Panorama circuit on the Australian asphalt in P20 this time instead of P18. Has dropped 2 positions there. And we have a lovely battle here for P10. P9 and P8 as Miguel Martins has a 5-second penalty. Or is that Miguel Martins? It is not. It is someone with a blue flag. Who that is, I have no clue. That is the Dutchman of Ibiza Racer, and let's both these cars battling for P9 through very well. But Miguel Martins does have that 8-second penalty. If Thibaut Roskam and João Manso keep this up, they will both overtake Miguel Martins, and that will earn them a spot in respectively P8 and P9. But if these drivers continue to fight, they might drop out of that 5-second window. Of course, Miguel Martins hope for the second option. This should be the last lap, Jesse Lee says. João Manso still in P10. I think I know who's going to win this race, John.
Yeah, I think I do indeed. 17 seconds to the good Martin Lawrence over the top of the mountain at the moment. He's got one more time to cascade down through Skyline, down the S's and the Dipper. A little bit of traffic ahead shouldn't hinder him too much, but it's been a great performance once again from the number 404 Connection Lost Racing car. Just want to bring you an update. Miguel Martins, it was an incident on lap 25, turn 22, involving the 69 and the 62. It was the 5 seconds for Miguel Martins. That was Martins on Boardman, if you remember, down into the chase. A bit of a slipstream, a last hurrah for Martin Lawrence as he comes down the Conrad. And another update from Raphael Hill, fastest lap of the race to Huell's name after coming in for lengthy repairs. Obviously elected to take a fresh set of tyres to claim the fastest lap. That's a 3 bonus points to his name, so 4 plus 3, you do the maths, taking away some points at least from tonight's race. But it is this man once again, Martin Lawrence, for the number 404 Connection Lost Racing. He will come across the line for round 5, taking another victory to his name in the RCI Porsche Cup Season 5 here with us today. 5 of 5 so far, and Johan Leffe coming through in second place, hotly contested with Miguel Nito in the early stages, but it was a penalty unsettling Nito that brought Leffe into P2. And this man here, Christian Lindgren, in the background, coming across the line for the bottom step of the podium, P3. Again, bided his time with the fight with Leffe and Nito, and managing to jump on Nito in the pit lane as well. Badowski comes through in the John Dalton zone, P5 for the Team Monkey Racing entry. Down the escape road he will go. Spaniard Carlos Calatayud in P6, followed closely by Andy Boardman. Miguel Martins in the background, 5 seconds to his name. So Thibaut Roskam and João Manso, in theory, should jump him. I don't think Emo Plata is close enough. A flash of the lights from Manso to Roskam. Probably that's a GG flash, I would say, more than a frustration flash. Ted Edwards, P12. Olivier Curtin, P13. Sebastian Brunier, P14, as the world's most colourful car park begins to form down at turn 1 and on to the mountain straight as well. Tedders, P15. Birthday boy Les Stevenson, P16. Tom Shipston should come through somewhere in P17. He's quite a way down, just going under the Liqui Moly bridge right now towards the final corner of Murray's. P17 for Shipston. It is the livery thief. I think Peter Dominicus still under fire, though, from Mike Redford down into Murray's. It's a very closely contested fight. Redford does get through into P18. Dominicus down into P19. Let's catch a race replay while the other cars are just coming through. This all kicked off down into the chase, into the Conrad. It's almost like a mirror image of the Kevin Boss incident. Long way around for Mike Redford. Lunged himself around the outside. Cleared the Dominicus car, the number 32, quite cleanly before they even got towards the apex. And Mike Redford, signed, sealed and delivered down into Murray's as the final car crosses the line. Kevin Boss, P20. Victor Nordquist, 21. Stephen Hughes in P22. Hubert Hauser, 23. Of course, Ibiza Racer in P24. And a high rate of attrition here today at Bathurst. Of course, 35 cars started. Only 28 managed to take the checkered flag tonight. Ibiza Racer, and then the two Lundquists, Alphonse prevailing over Peter. Raphael Huell, P27, very unfortunate there, and Ross Kusick rounding out your 28 drivers for tonight's race. Of course, 35 started. Thomas Novak, Forst, Varga, Byron, Wilkinson, Fox and Daly didn't manage to take the checkered flag. The highest laps driven, 7 by Thomas Novak, and then we have 5, 3, 3, 2 and 2. So quite an early high rate of attrition here at Bathurst, as we kind of expected tonight, Dan. Very, very commanding, shall we say, of lots of drivers tonight. Lots of good racing to be had by all, and probably one of the cleanest starts I think I've ever seen here at RCI at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, who would have thought? A clean start in such a stacked field was definitely not on my bingo card. What was also not on my bingo card was someone making a move around the outside of Chase. Twice as well, as beautiful broadcaster Jesse Lee points out. Mike Redford, welcome on in. That was a very, very exciting last lap. How did you experience your race around Bathurst?
That was great. I guess it might be a tradition for me at this point in Porsche Cup to be start from the pits for one race, and it goes quite well. I'm very happy with 18th. Yeah, it's a great overtaking. I think I could have got Shipston. I don't know if you guys caught it on the cast, but I basically had two instances going into the chase where the car hit the limiter, and it caught me out completely, and I just ended up overshooting. That was one of them. So, it's a bit weird. Sometimes the car hits the limiter, sometimes I get a double slipstream and it didn't. So, I ended up overshooting. I think my brake board might have still been kind of where it should have been. Because a lot of people were braking really early for the chase. So, I think we'll get some moves off there. But yeah, maybe the first lap was clean because I wasn't part of it. I don't know. That might be the thing.
I assume those overtakes around the outside will definitely get in your highlights reel for the future, possibly.
Yeah, man, I really love that. It was great fun.
I'm gonna pass you. Yeah, go on.
No, go on.
I wanted to pass you off to my beautiful colleague John Dalton. Maybe if he has some more questions for Mike Redford.
Yeah, Mike, mega job today. Just want to say, moves around the outside of the chase. Like, we kept saying it in the broadcast, it wasn't going to happen, and then you proved us wrong 2 or 3 times as you attempted to move down there. So, yeah, I don't know how you managed to fit your bravery in the Porsche Cup car, shall we say, tonight, but certainly some good driving to be had by all. Mike, final round at Kyalami. Looking forward to it?
Yeah. A lot like this track in many ways. Lots of downhill braking, so it'll be a challenge. I've done quite a lot of... I actually did a GT3 race in the Porsche not too long ago, so I'm somewhat familiar with the rear engine around there at least. So it'll be fun. I'll definitely... I'm hoping for some rain there. Kyalami's got a record of wet weather.
I say, Tim Ireland, if you're listening, you heard it from the man himself. Mike Redford would like some wet at Kyalami, so we'll have to see how that one prevails next week. Mike, just before we let you go, anyone you want to say thanks to? Anyone you want to shout out or mention?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I've got my mates who always watch me stream, which is fun. I've got Circuit Bree, all the guys who... Oh, okay, thanks for asking. MOK Red, Double D 95. I haven't really thought about that when I made it initially, but yeah. I'm on Twitch. Yeah. Funny story besides my name, but it doesn't matter. Yeah. Thanks to Shipston and the Wheelie Slow guys as well, because for the driving tonight, that was great fun. Shame about Kevin Boss's crash in the last lap. I might have cursed him with my words. Sorry, Kevin.
Curse of the streamer kicking in, maybe, rather than curse of the commentator. You can of course check Mike out on Twitch. Links in both the Twitch and YouTube chat if you want to go over, send him some love from us. Always streaming his point of view from many RCI races and everything in between. So certainly a good driver to check out. Carlos Calatiud, worst quali, best race, typical. So good luck not on Carlos's side tonight. Carlos, thank you for dropping in. Another driver dropping in as we let Mike Redford go. Tonight's race winner, Martin Lawrence, making it 5 of 5. Martin, well done. It looked tricky out there for some drivers, but qualifying on pole and driving off into the distance, it's a bit of a regular occurrence, should we say, for you here in the Porsche Cup.
No, thank you. Yeah, well, tricky. My race and quali was nowhere near like it was like nice and smooth sailing through the garden of full of roses and such. Because my quali lap was fast, yes. Thanks to the Mr. Wizard again, Seb. But I jumped there over the curb and thought my quali is over before it started. It was just, and in race, I like tapped the wall, snatched the lunchbox from the track marshals, and then I took the escape road like with 2 laps to go because I saw my fastest lap was stolen. So I tried to push, but those tires weren't really cooperating on the front. So yeah, took the escape road here and there, and a few twitches, slides. Yeah, wasn't really that like extremely smooth from me. But Sabrunier provided a mega setup, and it was just working like a charm again. So yeah, it was fun. And Bathurst is always fun, even like driving a little bit alone. But Rafael was pushing like hell all the race, but I suspect that he crunched it somewhere on the mountain because he started to lose a lot of time and pulled away from him, and then I saw him lap down. So yeah, that's unfortunate, but he was doing tremendous job as well. He wasn't really slow, and I had few occasional moments of 0.3s, but he was still like in the flat or low fours, so he was keeping up with me very well. So unfortunate that he crunched it. I was there. I was pushing from him, obviously. So I almost ended up in the wall myself. So yeah, it's a panorama with these bumpy cars. It's fun.
Yeah, so very well put, I would say there. From Martin, no more questions. From me, Dan, anything from our tonight's race winner?
Well, I think you've maybe even mathematically already won the championship. That is indeed correct. I must ask, coming into the round 5 of Kalami, how much risk for the victory are you going to take? I mean, there's nothing really on the table, so I think you might just go for it again and make it 5 out of 5.
I'm thinking about it. If I will be clear in the champ, I might just have a little bit more fun and just go from the back.
All right.
And we'll see how it ends up, how it turns out. Because why not? Obviously. And KLM is way more. Like everyone knows the KLM extremely well because ton of endurances, ton of championships, and there is always a KLM in it. So it will be more like the grid will be more together. So and the KLM is a nice track to overtake, but it's also a nice track to defend. So that would be harder. So I might give it a shot if I'm clear, obviously, from the champ. So yeah, well, why not? I'm here always for the fun, and I'm having the fun all championship. So yeah, let's keep it going that way.
All right. Anyone you want to give a shout out to, Martin?
Obviously, as always, all the people that supports me, the CLR, the NOP, the RCI Sports, obviously, because I'm happy to try for them. So all the sponsors of them, and obviously to you guys in the box, and everyone who is in this big group of people that are providing us great racing, as always, in every champ. Except the iRacing champ, I blame Tom for choosing the wrong tracks and wrong cars, but yeah, that's my problem.
Wow. Well,
That's
thank
only
you,
my problem. But yeah,
Thank you,
shout out to
Martin.
everyone who supports, and Seb Brunier, because of those setups. Just mega.
Lovely. Well, we'll hope to see you in the last round. Thank you, Martin Lorenk, champion elect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Congratulations once again. On the subject of iRacing, of course, if you want to get your toes into the RCI iRacing camp, final round of the MX5 Cup this Wednesday. We're heading to Laguna Seca. It's going to be on RCI TV, so if you don't want to catch all the action, you can do with Dan and Jesse, I believe, with Ash Bibby bringing you all the pictures there. Night out, of course, this weekend as well. That's Winter Break 3. That continues round 2 at Snetterton, and also on the website another iRacing championship, champion one-off event, should we say, with the NASCAR Cup Series Next Gen, the Charlotte 150. Get ready for a high-octane one-off showdown at the iconic Charlotte Motor Speedway, featuring the cutting-edge next-gen NASCAR Cup Series cars on iRacing. Special event promises to bring intense racing action, challenging drivers to master the fixed setups and famed oval for a whopping 100 laps of turning left. And Raphael Hill there struggling to turn left over the mountain, and that was his undoing in the highlights reel. For once, the ACC highlights reel catching something useful, I would say, rather than a null and void overtake that it sometimes does pick up. Drivers must own their chosen next-gen car. Other cars will need to be installed, not purchased. You only need one car owned to race, and of course the track is included with the iRacing base subscription as well. And I think for the first time on Mondays, we have a third driver with us ready for an interview. It's Ted Edwards, who has had his best finish of the season at one of the most tricky tracks, and of course getting taken out down at the chase. Ted, it looked pretty rough out there in some aspects, in the mid-pack and the back-pack, but certainly you managed to make it through to the end with P12 to your name, so congratulations.
Yeah, cheers, dude. It was it was pretty interesting with the takeout on the back straight, but I think it was just a bit of miscommunication between me and the other guy. But yeah, thanks for saying about my best finish. It has been a difficult championship this time around, but I've never driven this car. I never drove the old car, so it's a learning experience.
Yeah, certainly a learning curve. Well put there, Ted. What has been the hardest part of learning this car? Of course, you're more akin to the GT3 cars. Of course, a bit of a famed Mustang driver in the RCI ranks at the moment. Switching from that to this, probably two very different kettles of fish.
Yeah, it's very different. I've not done anything like this. The only thing I can sort of point this towards is iRacing's LMB2 or GTP, because if you think of the pedals and the ABS and traction control, they're opposite compared to those cars. They don't have ABS but have traction. This is the opposite. It has ABS but no traction, so it's just like trying to switch my feet around, and that's how I sort of play it. But I know the tracks, which makes it easier. And yeah, Bathurst is my favourite track, so I'm glad I got my best finish so far there.
So still Kyle Army to go. Still one more round yet to improve on your best ever finish. Dan, anything for Ted tonight?
My questions are all answered. Thank you.
Ted, just before we let you go, anyone you'd like to say thank you to or shout out?
I'd like to shout out to my girlfriend Katrina for opening the door, because this office got very hot that race. Cooled me down very nicely. I was sweating. I'd like to thank Daly just for just being there. He was just chilling after his little incident and helping me out in with the car and the setup. So yeah, and you guys, of course, and the stewards.
Aww.
So lots of people, of course, behind the scenes, and it's great to hear about them from everyone tonight. They've all shouted out specific people in the community. So thank you very much, Ted. We'll let you get on for tonight, and of course we'll begin to wrap the broadcast up. Revolving round in the bottom left-hand side of your screen has been our partners that help us all the way here at RCI, and of course RCI TV, AK Esports, a top provider of premium esports services and equipment, offering everything you need to elevate your competitive gaming experience, from high performance hardware to expert coaching and also event management. And they also provide us our servers here at RCI, ensuring smooth and reliable racing for everyone. Go Setups, expertly crafted car setups tailored to help you get the most out of your racing experience in big titles such as Assetto Corsa Competizione, and very recently Le Mans Ultimate. Featuring a plethora of esports stars on their team, you can be sure the setup you choose has extensive hours behind it. And of course, a new partner for us here this year at RCI, Moser Racing, who we are thrilled to partner with, a leader in high quality sim racing gear, from precision engineered steering wheels to durable pedals and advanced wheel bases. Moser Racing has everything you need to boost your racing experience. You can support our community by using our affiliate link down below to get these fantastic products over the holiday season. So if you are looking for the sim racing setup, then be sure to check out Moser Racing. From us here tonight, of course, we've still got one round to go next week when we head to South Africa for the final round at Kyalami, possibly a last to first challenge on the hands of Martin Lawrence, already elect champion. The closest man, Raphael Huel, can only score 300 points against Martin Lawrence, has already scored 347. So the championship being wrapped up in round 5 of 6, and that has been such a dominant performance from the Czech driver so far. Of course, Wednesdays, as I mentioned earlier, we are iRacing. We'll be bringing you all the action here on RCI TV, so be sure to stay tuned for that one. And of course, we are back next Monday for the finale of Porsche Cup Season 5. So from myself, John Dalton, from Dan Van Zoofen alongside me, and Jesse Lee behind the cameras, of course, not forgetting all of our live stewards. We thank you very much for joining us on RCI TV. We hope you have a wonderful rest of the week, and we hope to see you on Wednesday for some MX5 action. Take care.